Hello my dear friends and welcome to StudyIQ. I am Joy and today in this lecture we will discuss about rise in global crude oil prices and weakening rupee. What is the interlinkage between rising crude oil prices and the weakening of rupee or reduction in the value of rupee? Now if we look at the current affairs, in the month of March 2019, rupee strengthened significantly and it was a record high for rupee, and the reason was that it is because of strong inflow of funds through FPI or foreign portfolio investments. We have discussed about it in detail in an earlier lecture. What are the factors that strengthen the rupee in the month of March and what are the various factors contributed towards the improvement of value and what is the significance of it, etc. We have already discussed in an earlier lecture. Now the main reason for it was that there was a strong inflow of funds through FPI or foreign portfolio investments into the Indian economy, which strengthened the rupee significantly. But after that, in the last few days or in the last week, we have observed a fall in the value of rupee by 30 paise. And this was because there was a increase or jump in the global crude oil prices. So this fall in rupee was due to the jump in global crude oil prices. So it shows that there is a relationship between global crude oil prices and the value of rupee. So we will be analyzing this in detail in this lecture, and from this what we understand is that if the global crude oil prices continues to rise, the rupee may come under further pressure. That means the value can further depreciate, and this can also further lead to a rise in the overall import cost in the country. So we will be discussing all these in detail in this lecture. But before we begin, this is our channel StudyIQ and we are providing pen drive courses for various competitive examinations including SSC and bank courses, UPSC optionals, SSC JE courses, teaching examination, railway examination, defense examination, RBI grade B, NABARD grade A, UGC NET, UPSC Civil Services Examination, CLAT exams for various state PSCs and also for various professional courses. You can visit our website www.studyiq.com for more details, or you can call to any of these numbers for more information. Now let us understand what is the status of rupee at present. So we have already seen that in the month of March 2019 the rupee strengthened significantly and later it fell, and this is on account of rise in the global crude oil prices. Now, what are the reasons behind increasing prices of Brent crude or crude oil? The first reason is concerns over the supply from Opec. Opec is oil producing and exporting countries. We can say that they have made a cartel. That means they themselves decide the prices on which they supply crude oil. Now, the concerns over the supply from OPEC means that there are various concerns that they are cutting short the supply. So when the supply in the market reduces and when the aggregate demand is still the same, it means that there is an excess of aggregate demand over aggregate supply, and in this situation the prices will tend to rise. And in case of India is a import dependent economy for its oil requirements. So Indian economy would be more affected due to a rise in the oil prices because we are import dependent. Our import bills will hike and this will have an impact on the depreciation of rupee or on the value of rupee. Now let us understand the interlinkage between increase in crude oil prices and rupee weakening. So if the crude oil prices increases, it puts in an additional pressure on the rupee, and this leads to weakening of rupee. And this is solely because we are a import dependent economy for our oil requirements. So when the prices of crude oil increases, this will increase the import bill of the country. That means there will be more import compared to our exports in terms of value. So when the value of imports increases over the exports, it leads to a situation known as current account deficit. And when there is current account deficit, it means two things. First, the import dependency of the country is very high. And secondly, when the import dependency is higher than the export competitiveness of the country, it means that there is lesser demand for the local currency or the rupee. So lesser demand for any commodity, whether be it rupee or any other commodity, will bring down the value. So it leads to depreciation or reduction in the value of rupee. So these are the two implications of it. Now, if we look into the rising crude oil prices, what we see in the future is that there are expectations of weakening global growth. So when there is a weakening global growth, it means that the demand for crude oil at the global level will decrease. So when there is a decrease in the demand of a commodity, the prices also will fall. So this is one expectation. In the future, there will be a drop in the prices of oil due to a reduction in the aggregate demand of this commodity. Now, another thing to be considered here is that there is inflow of FPI into Indian economy. Now, if this scenario continues, we have seen that in the month of March, the rupee had strengthened at the highest level because there was a excess of inflow of FPI or foreign portfolio investments into Indian economy. Now, if this situation continues, or if there is continuous rise in the inflow of FPI money, there will be more demand for Indian rupee, and this will further strengthen the rupee by increasing the value of rupee. So this is the future picture that we have. Now, if we look into the month of October, in the month of October 2018, there was a significant fall in the value of rupee, leading to a higher level of depreciation of rupee. Why was this situation? Now, if we analyze the October weakening of rupee, it was solely due to a significant increase in the prices of crude oil. And from that, what we understand is that crude oil prices is a significant determinant of the movement of rupee. It can either go up or it can come down. So any movement in the rupee is directly linked with crude oil prices. This is because of our import dependency on crude oil. And in the month of October, rupee fell to its all-time low. So this makes us understand how significant or how important is the import bills, or especially the crude oil import bills for India. Now let us understand what could be the possible impact of a rise in the crude oil prices. The first significant impact would be on the value of rupee, leading to depreciation. We have already discussed how this happens. When crude oil prices increases, it will increase the import bill. So the value of import bill will increase, and when there is an increase or hike in the import bill, it means that there is lesser demand for rupee compared to its supply. And when there is lesser demand for rupee, it means that the value of rupee comes down, and this is called depreciation of rupee. Now, the second impact is on the current account deficit. So current account deficit is when the value of imports are higher than the value of exports. And widening current account deficit is always bad for an economy. So when rupee depreciates, there is lesser value for rupee, and you need to pay more in terms of rupee for your imports. It means the value of imports or import bill again increases, leading to widening of current account deficit. And current account deficit is a very important macroeconomic parameter that measures the stability of an economy. So when there is a widening tendency in the current account deficit, it means that the economy is not stable. So stability is a factor that determines foreign investments, local investments, infrastructural development, and overall growth of the economy is dependent on the stability of the economy. So these are the possible impacts of a rise in the global crude oil prices and its impact on weakening of rupee. You can follow my Facebook page for my video updates, and you can also write to me at joycey.studyiq@gmail.com for any of your queries and clarifications. Thank you.